Gen X, what can you do in the next 90 days that your future self will thank you for again and again? In just 3 months, 12 weeks, you can give your money a job instead of just watching it vanish after every paycheck. Because every dollar has a choice. It can go straight to go, or it can take a few laps around the Monopoly board before it's spent. I've broken this plan down into 12 weekly steps. One simple move per week that builds momentum fast. And if you start this plan in August, you'd be finished by the end of the year. Now, if you're already pretty dialed in, you may skip a few of these steps. But chances are there's something here that can still level you up. In this video, part 1 will cover the first 6 weeks. Then in part 2, we'll get into the second half and how to turn all of this into a forever system. So let's get started with week 1, your emergency fund. Your first task is working on your safety net. Okay, first level is, can you find $100 this week just to get it started? And maybe next month, another 100 to put in. Maybe you can skip takeout or eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for a couple of weeks. And yeah, I've done that. It works. Just until you can get that $1,000 starter fund. And if you can get that $1,000 account balance, you're already so far ahead. Now, if you want to level up from there, figure out your ideal emergency number, because I don't think this is written in stone for everybody. Everybody is different. Your needs are different. Your household, the number of people in your household is different from other people. You'll hear a lot of financial experts say you need 6 to 9 months of, living expenses in your emergency account. And I think, if you want to do that, that's fine. I decided I don't want to keep that much money in just a savings account. You can use a Roth IRA as an emergency account as long as you've had it over 5 years. Now, that's not the most ideal situation, but it is an option. I've decided, for me personally, keeping $2,500 in a savings account, easy to get a hold of if I need it, that's fine for me. That takes care of an unexpected vet bill or a car repair or a medical bill. It keeps me from having to pull out the credit card. So this week is about setting up a system that keeps you from going into debt when life throws its curveballs at you. And that's a theme that you're going to see going forward with this plan. Systems that support your financial life automatically. Okay, week number 2 task, let's talk debt. Now, your emergency fund might not be fully funded yet, and that's okay. But now it's time to face that debt that's been hanging around for a little too long. The first level of this task is just add up every debt that you want gone. Credit cards, medical debt, the car loan, whatever it is that you want to focus on the most. Add it all up. Now divide that total by 12. Now, approximately that's how long it would take you to pay that debt off per month. Now, of course, interest is going to accrue and add up as we go, but pretty much that's a ballpark figure of how much it would take you to pay that debt off in a year. Now, is that total too much? Because that's okay. Just divide it by 24. Try that. 36, even 60 months. Whatever it takes for you to get that debt paid off. Now, don't just pick the easiest amount. Pick an amount that stretches you a little bit. Something that keeps you motivated. And what that becomes is your debt freedom target. Now, if you want to level up on this task and you've still got a mortgage and you want to start attacking that one, then that's amazing. Just one extra mortgage payment a year can shave off years from your mortgage, in interest. All right, guys, we're only 2 weeks in, and we've already tackled 2 of the biggest challenges that Gen Xers face. So let's get to week 3, which is spending. Now that your savings and your debt plans are in motion, let's see if we can free up some cash to keep them going. The first level of this task would be, let's look at last month's statement. Are there more than one automatic car wash going on in the month? Are there multiple streaming platforms showing up there? Way too many Amazon orders. You see an Amazon. Maybe you're going through the drive-thru more than usual. Another thing is if you're one of the millions of Americans whose car insurance has doubled or tripled in the past couple of years, make this week's task a time to shop around. It doesn't take very long. With the internet, we can do it in a half hour, an hour. Just get the policy that you currently have so you know how to shop, apples to apples, with the limits that you have set up. You can more than likely find a way to save hundreds of dollars on insurance doing that. Let's think about our cell phone bill for a minute. Does anyone really need to be with the 3 major carriers anymore? And also, most people don't need unlimited data anymore. I know that's one that I always felt I had to have, but I hardly use any because most of the places that we are most of the time, we're using our Wi-Fi. It's really easy to get comfortable and not want to make any changes. But you can save some serious cash if you're willing to try out something new. A few months back, I did a video explaining how I freed up $4,000 in just 1 year. I'll link that at the end of this video if you want a few more ideas. Now, if you want to level up on this task, let's look at the budget busting categories. And we all have them. We pay a premium for convenience or when we want someone else to do something for us, like, cook our meals. We go to restaurants. We pay for all of these extra channels on our TV because we want to be entertained. Sometimes we justify these expenses because they save time. But in reality, the time that we save from them, we usually use that time to just spend more money on something else. If you know your weak spots, just ask yourself, can I cut this category 25%, maybe even 50%, and still enjoy life? You probably can. Okay, let's say you've already cut everything to the bone. This week's task might be for you to find a way to bring in more income, even if it's just temporary, just so you're not always stuck in survival mode. Week 4, you're going to do some things to protect yourself online. Protecting your digital life today is just as essential as locking your front door. Unfortunately, most people don't take this seriously enough until they've already been hacked or had their identity stolen. Let's fix that now with just a few small steps. First level and priority 1 is freeze your credit with all 3 of the credit bureaus: TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. It only takes a few minutes for each one. It's totally free, and once it's frozen, no one, including yourself, can take out any credit in your name. But you can go in and thaw it very easily, temporarily, if you do need to apply for credit. It's one of the best things that we have out there for our online safety, for our financial safety, and it's totally free. Next, if your email inbox is a mess, full of junk, or spam, or just a bunch of newsletters or advertisements, sales, whatever. Let's just admit defeat on it and sign up for a new email address. Go scan through the other one and maybe forward the things that are important or that you do want to redirect to the new email address, and then just abandon the other one. And then while you're at it, while you're setting up that new email address, set up a second email address for all of your financial account, information to go to, your banking, your investments, and set up strong passwords for each of them. Okay, let's go to our level up task. And if you want to lock things down even tighter, you could sign up for one of the password managers, or if you want to DIY it and make up your own, then you need to set up a system for that, and you need to go in and change them, routinely. And this week would be a great time to do that. Go in there, change those passwords. Now, if you want to go up even another level, which I totally recommend, and I started doing this a couple of years ago, I use a dedicated extra device other than my phone to put all my financial information on. All of my financial apps, the email that I use for my financial, life, that goes to that device as well. And in my case, it's an iPad, and I don't even let them sync with each other. My phone and my iPad, they have totally separate accounts. They don't even know the other one exists. That way, if my phone gets stolen, then my financial information is over here, isolated on another device and not on my phone. Because once you've set that up on that dedicated device, you need to delete all those apps and that email address off your phone. But whatever device you use, just use it only for your finances. Okay, week number 5 is a credit score power up. Credit scores, they're not just for getting a loan or opening a credit card. They shape our entire financial lives. Did you know that auto insurance and homeowners insurance companies run your credit scores in order to set your rates? And based on what they find, your premiums could be a lot more expensive just because of that one factor. Landlords will check them, and you may not get approved for that apartment, or your security deposit could be a lot higher because of it. In some employers, especially those in the finance or security sector, they'll use those credit scores to screen their applicants. Now, we can start by looking at our credit reports. Okay, week number 6 is a home and car reality check. Now, we're talking about the 2 most expensive purchases you'll probably make, and 2 of the biggest money pits, your home and your cars. And this week isn't about renovations or upgrades. No, we're talking about maintenance here. Because when things go wrong, they can take your budget straight down with them. Level 1 is, let's start with your home. And let's start with those tasks that you don't really want to deal with. The ones that you kind of turn a blind eye to. The kind that you wish would just kind of go away. Are you smelling musty or mildewy odors? Is your basement or your crawl space taking on too much moisture or water? Is there a pest problem or termites? The leaky pipe under the sink? The breaker that flips every time you plug in the hairdryer? These types of things, they only get worse with time. They won't fix themselves. They degrade your home's value. They're a nuisance. They weigh on you all the time. Even worse, they create an unsafe home. Use this week to make a plan to address those issues, or at least have a professional come and take a look at them. Next, let's look at your car. Do you know that the average lifespan of car tires is between 40,000 and 60,000 miles. The average car battery is 3 to 5 years. Have you noticed that when you apply the brakes, they're squeaking or maybe even vibrating? If you know you're nearing one of these guideposts, it's good to put a little money aside now. I know last year I had to replace the battery in my car. I was shocked that car batteries are triple what they were the last time I had bought a battery. These are just things that will leave you stranded if you ignore them too long. And if you want to level up in this task, your home, your car, they're in solid shape. That's great. Just keep your emergency fund growing so that when something does inevitably break, you'll have the cash to do it. This week is about protecting what you already own and making sure that those things don't quietly drain your wealth. Okay, we've covered the first 6 weeks of our 90-day financial reset. These 6 steps are all about laying a foundation, brick by brick, stone by stone, creating something solid so that the other things that we're going to build on have a good footing. In part 2, we're going to get into tax and 401k strategy, Roth accounts, a retirement checklist, estate protection, and how to turn all of these steps into a system that keeps on working long after the 90 days are done. Now, I'll be back next Sunday with that video, so make sure you're subscribed and you have notifications on so you don't miss it. In the meantime, I have linked 2 videos right here to keep you moving forward. One is more tips on protecting your digital life, and the other one is on how I freed up $4,000 in 1 year by just cutting out some financial leaks, some that you may not even realize you have. And I got Mr. Benji Boy here. He wanted to help me close out the video. Now, he'll be 2 years old in a few months. So the fact that he's sitting this still is actually a miracle. And he's got that terrier blood in him too. But anyway, say hi, Benji. Hi. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, let me know in the comments. Hit the like button. I'll see you next week. Have a great one. Bye. What?